Welcome to Per Wag Adopt, Berkshire Humane Society's award-winning cable television show. My name is John Peralt. I am the executive director. I am also your host. And today I have two special guests with me, Leslie Lupino and Marnie Myers, and they're from Berkshire Voters for Animals. And let's start off by just telling a little bit about yourselves.
Sure, great. I'm Leslie, and I have started the group. I was actually inspired by the 2008 ballot question to end greyhound racing. And I want Marnie actually to mention a little bit about that, because she was instrumental with a lot of other people around the county in having that pass. But that gave me the inspiration for the group. Do you want to mention?
Yes,
more
I'm
about that?
Marnie Myers, and have many animals, as John knows.
I know. Many of them come from the shelter.
Many of them come from the shelter, and have always been concerned about animal issues and bettering the welfare of animals. And when the 2008 ballot question came up to put an end to greyhound racing in the state, there was many of us who jumped into the fray and got the signatures required. And I think it's proof that the average citizen and that grassroots can work. So that's about it for the greyhound racing, I guess.
Yeah.
It was successful.
So what is Berkshire Voters for Animals?
Yeah, so out of that, what I was so inspired by that, because it won, as you know, and it was a great, I just thought, wow, vote to the people. And I just thought, wow, I've been also interested in animals' rights and animal issues for many years. And I want to get involved and get my hands dirty and get in there instead of just donating or lending money. So I was finding a way that I could let my voice and passion be heard in this. And so as a result of that ballot question, I found out and that's when I met Marnie and researched a bit. And then at the same time, I actually came across this great book, which is about, it's called Get Political for Animals and Win the Laws They Need by Julie Lewin. And that inspired me to create the group, because she talks about how just creating a force, a group that would help when you're talking to legislators, that you have this organization behind you that adds a little more credibility. And there are so many people, of course, that care and love animals and want to do something. So I really believe that the political process is a great way to do it, because a lot of people think that there are laws that are protecting animals, but in reality there are few laws and they're very weak. And so the intention is really to contact our congresspeople and let them know what legislation is out there and what we want passed to help protect them and from abuse. And so that's the impetus.
How many members at this point? Because I know you're fairly new.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
How old is the organization?
Within it, it's just been about a year.
Yeah, I would say.
Yes, and it's very grassroots. I think for the intention again behind the group is primarily to build this database, so collecting emails of folks that are interested in responding to their or contacting their legislators when particular bills come up that that we want to have passed and put our voice in. A lot of what we're doing too is connected with the MSPCA, the Massachusetts Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. They have a whole advocacy department, and so they routinely lobby on bills. So we basically follow their lead, and they let us know which pieces of legislation are particularly critical at this time to get passed.
So you have alliances out there too.
Exactly,
The
yeah.
more voices, the better.
Right.
Now, you're talking about creating lists and email addresses. And I think maybe we should tell our viewers out there, it's actually really easy. It's easy because a lot of times groups like the MSPCA, and if you're different, you certainly say that, but you can send out an email and people just have to do a couple clicks. There's not much that they need to do in order to help a lot, correct? So if there's something, if you can give us an example, there's a particular bill that you want passed, or you want a legislator to know that there's a lot of people out there that have interest in it, how would you go about doing that through email?
Right. So specifically, the first thing is that I'd have everybody really join the MSPCA's Animal Action Team. So you can go to their website, mspca.org, and click on their animal action team and sign up there, and then you will automatically get updates and alerts, and actually the template, for you talk about
Right.
making it easy. What's great is they have the letter there, and if you want, you can modify it or put it in your own words, but basically at the very least you can just make one click and it goes already to your legislator. So that's great. And then beyond that, if you want to follow up with a phone call, so it's just a great way to lend your voice, let your voice be heard. Do you want to add?
Yes, and several of us have grouped together, including Leslie, and gone to visit the local legislators. And they were not only receptive, but they were thrilled that we came to meet with them and to discuss our feelings with them about these issues. So I think they're waiting to hear from their constituents, whether it be by phone or by the MSPCA website. They're very receptive.
Right.
And I know what we have your name on the screen. We have a phone number.
Right.
Is that how people want to get a hold? If people are interested,
Yes.
want to become members of the Berkshire Voters for Animals,
Right.
just to give your phone number a call.
Yes, exactly, and we have a kind of a basic preliminary little website through Group Spaces that we're utilizing, but again, that's basically to create this database, and the intention for creating that database is to be able then to just, as reminders, send out emails saying, look, this legislation piece is coming up and it's still in committee. And that's the thing that I guess the primary thing, this legislation process is, believe me, it's a lot of learning that I
Right.
never was very political, even interested before getting involved in this. And it's interesting, but it is to get a bill passed is a time-consuming process. It just goes back and forth and between the House and the Senate. So there are bills that we have some success that have passed the Senate, and then they're in the House. And so what we're doing is trying to really keep some of these bills in the forefront of the legislator so they just don't die in committee. So for example, the legislative session for this year ends at the end of July. So there are a few bills that we're trying to move, see if we can get them out before the legislation session ends for this year.
That you brought that up. Let's talk about one of them that we talked about off the air a little bit about, an act updating the animal control laws. Can
Right.
you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, of course, there's been the Animal Control Act has been established for a long time, many years. But the fact is that it's sorely in need of being updated, and so this has provisions that have been added to it. For example, one exciting one that has been added was about including domestic animals in court or mandated protection orders.
Yes.
So that's for domestic violence. So
And I know for that particular piece, we have a group that meets at the shelter, which Berkshire Humane Society is part of, called Haven,
Right.
which is Human Animal Violence Education Network.
Right.
And that's one that is big because through our Safe Pet program, we have many women leaving abusive situations and a lot of times stay in those situations because they're afraid to leave their pets behind. And if they're included in the protection order,
Right.
this is just one more way to keep those pets safe. So, and that has been attached to the animal control.
Exactly.
updated
Yes.
laws.
So that's a
good thing.
huge one because in
Yeah.
addition to that, I mean that's for pets and for people because they go back into these situations a lot. So because of their animals.
And the ACO
They're afraid.
laws, some of them date back to the 1800s, I think.
Right.
And I know one of them in there, which shocked me when I saw the paperwork, some of the paperwork gave me, was that it's still legal to use carbon monoxide or dioxide as a way to euthanize your animals, which hasn't been done
Right, right.
in
Many.
many years.
Yes. So updating these, and then in addition, there's also on that bill was to create a statewide spay-neuter fund to reduce the number of homeless animals. So just a check off on your taxes.
That's the key. Now that you'll see when you're doing your taxes, there'll be a checkoff box for that as
Right,
well.
right,
So
right.
that will be very, very helpful to many shelters in the state of Massachusetts.
Right.
And I know that even though we don't, we spay and neuter 100% of our animals before they leave our doors, there are still some shelters that don't have that ability,
Right.
and so they hold deposits. And I remember many years ago when I was holding deposits, we were lucky to get a 60% compliance. And that means that 40% of the animals had the potential anyways
Yes.
to be reproducing out there. And I guess the law is going to also provide some more teeth to enforcement of that. So if there is a deposit held, there's a little bit more teeth to make sure that that animal does get
Right.
spayed or neutered.
Yeah,
So that would be
yes.
another positive thing coming
Yeah.
from there as well.
Yes.
Um,
So exactly for that, I just want to mention. So this is an example one that's passed in the Senate. It passed in March, but it's in the House Ways and Means right now. So we're wanting folks to contact their legislators to ask them to help to move this forward. So.
And they can always, again, go back to the MSPCA's
CA,
website. They
right.
can join the Animal Action Team,
Right.
and they'll be asked to also support this bill as well.
Exactly.
And another interesting one that we have pending is an act relative to antifreeze and engine coolant.
Right.
And in 2010, I know that it became a law that anybody selling retail antifreeze, which is for you or I going to the store, that there be a bittering agent put in there, so it wouldn't be so sweet tasting to the animals. And I know that through the HSUS, there was a statistic they put out there, like 90,000 animals a year die because of antifreeze poisoning.
Right.
But this bill's a little bit different, right? It goes beyond that.
Yes.
It does. It does. It addresses the wholesale marketing of the antifreeze, which is what your garage would have. If you go in to get your car winterized, they don't use the little containers. They use a wholesale bulk, and it wasn't included in the original bill. So this would include it.
Yeah.
And there's various statistics that support it, like they're saying that 67.9% of responding veterinarians in the state have treated animals for antifreeze poisoning.
Right.
So it's no small deal, really.
No, not at all.
know?
So, and if you think about
And
it,
it's simple.
most people that do change antifreeze, we
Yeah.
normally don't change it ourselves. We have a
know.
garage or somebody do
Yes,
it, and
yeah.
those are the people buying it wholesale. So,
Right.
So that's important.
Yes. Yes. Now, why it didn't get Marnie and I were saying included in the first?
We don't know why it didn't get
Yeah, why it
included in the
wasn't all
first
together.
one. We don't know. And sometimes they will accept a partial solution to a problem in order to get something through. And that's just me saying it. I don't know that was the case, but it seems as though it should have been all inclusive at the time. But here it is now,
okay.
with a chance to make it all inclusive.
Are there any other bills pending, or I mean, these are two of the
Farm
ones that
animals.
are
Right,
hot
right.
right now, right?
Yes.
That need attention.
Yes, and then there was another one concerning the farm animals, the Cruelty Act. So there, in Massachusetts here, we are trying to ban the use of gestation crates and veal crates for calves. So currently, they don't exist in Massachusetts on a large scale. But
Can you explain, Leslie, just a little bit about, for our listeners that might
Sure.
not be familiar with the terminology of a veal or gestation
Okay.
crate?
Sure. The gestation crate cell is for the pigs, pregnant sows, and they keep them there basically throughout when they're nursing their pigs, so they can't turn around, they can't move in them. They're just these steel crates that they.
Big enough to stand up and lay down.
Exactly. They can't
can't
turn
turn
around.
around.
Right. And veal calves, same thing. They're in a crate that prohibits them from turning around or moving, because the idea with veal is that they don't want the calves to develop any muscle, so they keep them basically immobilized. So legislation would ban the use of that in Massachusetts. And what's interesting about that, even though we don't have large-scale factory farming in Massachusetts, the idea that it sets the tone for the national piece, because 99% of the meat that we eat is factory farmed. So so by doing this, it makes it easier for legislation in a federal legislative piece to happen
Yes.
in that way.
And also the reason that they want the veal calves to be have soft muscle meat is obviously for the tender meat, but it's also they feed them a very iron deficient diet so that the veal is white. You know, people want to have that tender white baby veal on their plate, and so it's all driven by the consumer. And if people switch to other alternatives of eating, there wouldn't be veal crates. But until that time, there's a need for changing their habitat.
Okay, so at the moment, it's illegal in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Right.
And the proposal is to make both the veal crates and the gestation crates illegal to
Yes.
use in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, exactly.
That's right.
Right.
Now,
That's right.
I'm going to go back to 2008, I think, is what got piqued your interest and got you
Yes.
going on
Yeah.
Berkshire Voters for Animals. But, you know, we passed the Greyhound bill that says Greyhound was banned in Massachusetts. And, but I'm still getting emails saying that the different things have come up that, that have promoted trying to get that overturned. And
Yeah.
each time it's come. Can you explain a little bit about that at all?
There's always the chance that people will come forward with any of the bills and try and change them, modify them, amend them, or outright overturn them. I really don't think there's that much chance of it happening with the Greyhound issue. And now that they're looking at more other forms of gambling in Massachusetts,
The casinos.
the
yes.
casinos, people are more willing to let go of the old ways. And especially people who really love animals are increasingly less inclined to include them in their recreational gambling.
But there was
What do
this
you think?
interesting thing about, I know about broadcasting, because there are a few states that still have.
Simulcasting.
Simulcast.
Simulcasting, yes.
things. So that
Yep.
was something where, trying to create that interest.
But I know the states that have legal dog race now is dwindling. 'cause
They're dwindling,
I think
Exactly.
after
right.
Massachusetts, there
Yeah.
was another 3, 4, 5 states that
They
fell
started to
shortly
fall.
after.
Yeah, they
Right,
started to
right,
fall
right.
right away.
It
Right.
certainly has made a difference.
It
Yeah.
does, and that's the piece about working. And what I like about again, coming back to the Berkshire Voters for Animals, is you start locally, and then you connect in with the state, and then the state connects in with other states, and you can really see changes happening because you just get more people involved that way and aware.
And can it sometimes also affect the federal?
Exactly.
Because they see a certain number of states going a certain way, it's easier to push for a federal
A federal bill.
bill, if a majority of the states are already on board with it.
Yeah. And we're actually, what's great is in the HSUS, the Humane Society of the United States, has a wonderful Massachusetts state director, Alexis Fox, and she's very involved in the state, and I've met with her, and she comes works closely with the MSPCA as well. And so it ties together these pieces about federal legislation as well. And
So
in
you're not
states.
trying to reinvent the wheel. You're just trying to
Exactly.
add support and the voice for the people of
Right,
the Berkshires
Right.
to this as well.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
the MSPCA actually, in terms of the particular bills and things that we focus on, primarily they're leading it with based on what they feel has probably the most impactful piece for the animals, and then the most likely in some cases that they feel that would be able to make it through the process, because there's so many bills. But if we can focus and put all energies together, the idea is we can really make some changes.
All right.
Yeah.
It's the old squeaky wheel thing in a way.
Squeaky wheel gets
Yeah.
the grease. Yep.
Because
that certainly happens.
we have heard that some of the legislators, they get 2,000 or more bills a year. And so they look at them in order of priority. And so if they're hearing everything about one type of category,
Gets their
nothing
attention.
about these, then
They have
that's
to
what they
prioritize
address.
as
They have
well.
to prioritize what
Right.
they're hearing.
So they're
This
waiting,
is-
listen.
Yeah, well, they're listening for the constituents
Yep.
to speak, and so that's why it's so important for voters who do care about animals to speak on their behalf.
How often do you guys meet?
Well, we're a very little grassroots organization, so there's just a few of us that are kind of banded together, and as Marnie mentioned, that we've gone to the different legislators and met
Yeah.
one-on-one with them. But basically, we're generally meeting together about once a month, a few of us. So it's not so much about the meetings, but again about
Right.
developing the database
Yep.
and moving forward with making ourselves really out there with our legislators and inviting folks to do that too, so individuals can meet with them. I know until we got together, I never did that, and it's great because they
I never
have
had
really-
either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Because you didn't know Marnie prior to the Greyhound,
right,
Yeah,
right.
even though you had the same interests.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes.
And during the Greyhound effort, we ran into so many voters who first of all, did not realize Greyhound racing was still in Massachusetts. Because
Berkshires, so,
they
yeah.
themselves, yes, they themselves didn't journey to that end of the state very often and didn't know. It wasn't on their screen. So they're more than happy to help to end Greyhound racing with whatever they could, a signature, a vote. And it's surprising how much a few people can do.
Was it 55,000 signatures? Is that
Something
what
like that, yeah.
It was over
Yeah, we went way
50,000.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went way over.
So that was
Yeah,
that
it was easy.
That
Yeah.
was easy. Anything else you guys would like to add? Anything you want our viewers out there to know about you? I know on the screen is your website
Right.
Yep.
and also a phone number and how to get a hold of Leslie. And what else would you like to?
Well, the one thing I just wanted to mention too is those animal-friendly license plates.
Oh, yes.
That was
That's good.
something that is a great resource for folks to help support the spay-neuter program in Massachusetts. So it's that program is sponsored by the Mass Coalition for Animals, and they have a fund by which different organizations can apply for grants.
Which we have.
Which,
Yep,
yes,
yep,
yeah.
the Mass
Yep.
Animal Coalition, known as MAC.
Right.
That's
they,
right.
You know, they facilitate that program. And I know last year we had a $6,000 grant for spay neutering, and that all came from license plates.
Yes, yes.
And it's the little dog and cat in the little left-hand corner that you see. And
Right.
I'm excited about it
SN.
because the more cars that I see, I'm seeing more and more of the animal-friendly license plate.
Right.
And a portion of the proceeds of that goes towards spaying and neutering in Massachusetts. And I
Exactly.
think it has made a difference.
Yes, yes, and just makes people more aware too. Whenever I see those license plates, I go, yes, there's an animal-friendly
know.
person. So,
Yep. And they are
those-
growing. They are growing.
Yes, and you can go just to it's petplate.org, and you can actually get a license plate there.
Yep. Or if you're in the shelter, I know we have flyers.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
the
I think I
forms.
even brought, so they look like, these
What
flyers.
to look for.
so,
I know
Yeah.
Yeah.
most veterinary offices have them, as
Yeah.
well as I know Petco has
Yes.
some in there as well. And we have one at the shelter. So again, something simple that someone can do to make a huge
Exactly.
difference.
Right.
So
And John, that in itself was an example of Massachusetts residents' efforts, because there wouldn't be a spay-neuter plate if people hadn't worked to get it out there. You know, they don't just make a plate about any old topic.
No.
You have to fight for it.
Yep.
So
certainly
it
do.
all matters. Anything anybody can do matters.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming in today, and
You're
again,
welcome.
I want to have everybody out there give Leslie a call if you're interested. And there's 2 pending bills, one on updating the animal control
Right.
laws, and one other big thing we need to mention is that, especially in Western Mass with the animal control laws, is that training for our animal control officers.
Yes.
Yes.
There's not a lot provided.
Right.
These little town budgets don't have a lot of money in them
Yes.
to train the local animal control officer, where this bill here would add to some training.
Exactly.
So
That's right.
another
That's true.
great thing. And then also the other bill is an act relative to antifreeze and engine coolant, and we're trying to get the wholesalers to put that bitter agent
Bittering agent.
in there, so we can keep more pets from having to suffer a very, very cruel death from antifreeze as well.
Exactly.
Right, right.
So I want to thank you both for
You're
coming
quite
here
welcome.
today.
Thank you. Yeah,
We're going to take a quick break and be able to view many of the animals we have available for adoption today at the Berkshire Humane Society, and we'll be right back with another special guest. Welcome back, and we have Diane Briggs with us today. And Diane, you have another special guest with us for this show.
Yes.
Who do we have here?
Today we have Hannah, who is a 7.5-year-old lab Staffordshire Terrier mix. She was surrendered to the shelter in April as her owner passed away.
Oh.
Now, Hannah has lived outside tied to a chain all her life. So she doing extremely well, almost housebroken, not there yet, but almost. She rides very, very well in the car. She loves everybody that she has met. Her favorite things are these soft toys on the floor that she loves.
Where's your toys, Hannah? Huh?
But for 7.5, she still has a lot of energy. She's not an old 7.5.
Now, she spent some time in our office.
Yes, she
And
has.
I happen to know that she was 7.5, but if I didn't know,
Would never
I would think
guess.
this was a 2-year-old dog.
Exactly, I agree with you. She's got a lot of energy, and she loves to cuddle. She really loves attention and very well mannered.
And if anybody's interested in Hannah, they can call the shelter?
Absolutely. Call the shelter at 447-7878, extension 26.
That'll be the
Talk to
kennel,
anyone in the
yep.
kennel. She's a great cuddler. She is really a great cuddler. And she'd make someone an exceptional pet.
Now, was she spayed when she came in, or was she
She
needing
was
to be spayed?
not spayed when she came in. We did have to spay her.
Okay.
But she's very well mannered.
Yep. And she walks well on a leash.
She's on the easy walk because she is a little strong when she walks.
And that was new to her too, because really she lived on the end of her leash.
Yeah, she was on a chain outside, so she's just doing very, very well.
Sure. So again, if anybody's interested in Hannah, they can always give the shelter a call at 447-7878. Stop by and visit us at 214 Barker Road. And if it's felines you're interested in, you want to always stop by Paradise, our Great Barrington location, located at 301 Stockbridge Road. And Hannah's just such a great girl.
She is.
Hopefully people see her on today's show and give the shelter a call. We can give her chance at her forever home as well.
Exactly.
Where she's sleeping on someone's couch and not in someone's backyard.
Yep,
so.
she likes to be by your side. She'd love to be in bed with you or on the couch. Definitely.
A great couch potato dog.
She is.
Well, before we go, I just want to thank Karen, Sherry, Laura the intern, and all the volunteers that helped make our new intro to this show possible. We debuted it today for the first time, and hopefully you enjoyed it as well. I want to thank all the volunteers who help us put this show together. And until next time, thanks for watching. Per Waggett out.